Why do you love crypto?
There's no other way to describe it. It is the most cutting edge part of marketing. There's more freedom than any other industry.
And that makes work not feel so much like work. It makes it feel like just another great part of your life that helps like shape who you are, why you're doing what you're doing.
You can take what you've already done that was innovative, throw it away and build something new.
You want to give someone something versus taking something away. Projects underestimate the power of community. Numbers are fake. The only thing that's real is culture and vibes.
Leadership is not a means to an end. It's just a calling on the way to shaping the reality of everyone else. What are you cost signaling? How have you done the hard things to show that you've done the hard things? If you have a cool identity as a brand or anything, and you stick to what your guns are, then eventually it's going to work.
Economics.
Dude, thank you for doing this.
Yes, sir. Thank you for
Good to
having
see
me.
you again. Last time we
Yeah.
were hanging out was in Bangkok at DevCon.
Yep, a few months ago.
Yeah. How are you finding ETH Denver?
I'm finding it very well, man. Just keeping in close contact with my friends, meeting some other cool builders in the space. Just hopping around events as we do.
Your event the other night was sick.
Thank you, man.
Very cool.
Yeah, the Zealot guys are really cool. We love them. We always try to do something with them. But yeah, you?
Nice, man. It's been good. Been here with the Nuffle team and we've had a lot of meetings, kind of mainly meeting liquid funds and ecosystems. Big changes coming in the next couple of weeks, which I think by the time this airs might be something a little different, which I'll give you the heads up about. But it's been really fun. And I think, for me, this is new. This is totally new because I was a doctor until pretty recently.
Yep.
So
Such a crazy
my
story you have, honestly.
My parents still don't entirely know what I do, but
As they shouldn't.
as they should. Yeah. Especially with last week with Bybit. Right?
Yeah.
And Argentina. My dad asked me hey, what's that thing with Argentina? I was like, I don't know.
Yep.
Nothing.
Nope.
It wasn't to do with me.
Nothing at all. Nope.
But no, great experience. Doing this, because we met for the first time in DevCon and we're just hanging out, which is great.
Okay, so you mentioned you're having some meetings in person, right? How do you feel about meetings in person versus just meeting on Google Meet or something? Like do you feel a major difference? Do you think they're more effective in person, or what's your kind of thought process around that? I'm just curious.
I think they're two different kinds of communication, right? Mm-hmm. If I was having an initial hello, nice to meet you call, Google Meet is fine.
Okay.
If you don't know someone, if there's low context. If there's high context, high stakes, I think the only way to do it is in person. There's a reason why in traditional business and Web 2 that when you're doing something, you fly to the person, right? Mm-hmm. I think conference is the perfect middle ground. I think something else that no one really talks about is, especially when you're doing, multifactorial deal flow. Let's say you have a thing, for example, you're raising a valuation or something like that, right? Mm-hmm. When you've got something on paper or on an email, you can take that to someone else and say, they said this, what can you do? Yep. So I think in person gives you that flexibility to say, this is on my mind, but there's no commitment to it. Yeah. So you can have proper, I think, high context, sensitive conversation.
I see.
What do you think?
I think, so I have been terminally online my whole life. I only worked remote. I only just recently worked in person a few months ago. Whenever I was
You're based in Korea, right?
I'm based in New Orleans.
New Orleans.
But yeah, so I was in Korea and just Asia in general the past few months, working with some of the initial contributors there. And yeah, working in person is just nice in general because I can walk up to someone and be like, hey, I have this thing, I want to talk about it. It's not fully fleshed out. Let's see if what we can do here. But so meeting in person for me is a little weird at first. I've definitely gotten used to it, but it's much more personal. And I kind of you were talking about how you might have this idea, you might have this thing, you get a vibe check from someone and see I don't know, if you can really truly trust them. You look them in the eyes and you see if they're a good person or not. And if they are, I don't know, even if the deal isn't perfect, you can kind of some way make it work if you want to. If they're just a good team or a good investor or whatever to kind of work with.
And it's nice. It's pleasant. It's good to bond and hang out and do fun stuff. And this is not rocket science, right? We're not reinventing the wheel. Oh my God, these are such good insights. But it's true because I think if I meet with someone and there's a good deal or something, or they're trying to work together, and even if everything's great on paper, and they're a dick to the waiter, right? At where you are,
Yep.
you're like,
It's like-
oh, you're probably going to be a dick to me too, right?
Yeah, it's a very obvious display of their character, right? Yeah, I think. Yeah, I don't know. The whole like being rude to waitresses and waiters, it's like, come on, man.
At this point, it's a meme. At least at this point, if you are a dick, you just are aware of it and just
Yeah.
don't do it. I don't know. It's funny, man. Dude, tell me about your story. How did you get into the game?
Okay, so yeah, I've been in the game, I guess like on chain and kind of interested in working in the space in August 2021. Before that, I was doing RuneScape, like I was buying and selling RuneScape Gold, account services for around 6 or 7 years. And that's why I said earlier, like I haven't worked a proper, a real job. I haven't gone into office and worked a 9 to 5. I've always just kind of done things on my own. And so, yeah, I did that for a while. I used BTC, ETH, Ripple, Litecoin as like my currency to transact. Unfortunately, I treated it as cash and not an investment. So here we are.
I feel you, dude. I feel you. 2012 Silk Road, like there's a lot of expensive joints on that place right now for me.
Yes. So, in August 2021, my friend told me about Solana and Solana NFTs, and I just started minting some cute little.
Did you ever do ETH NFTs? Did you go straight to Solana?
Straight to Solana.
Me too.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
never did ETH NFTs.
Yeah, I made a little bit of money on Solana, and then I started doing ETH NFTs, but still, like I was spending $200 to $300 per transaction, like to mint something, and then like you go through the approval process on OpenSea, you go through the listing, you're spending like $1K just to like mint and get it listed. So you're hoping to make, I don't know, like a 2x, 3x minimum just to like break even. But yeah, during that time, NFTs were really insane, and I had a lot of fun because it was something. I mean, it's relatively similar to RuneScape in that like I'm not sure if you know like how the Grand Exchange works, but basically so you put an item up, and then someone could bid on it, and then you get your money basically. And
Dude,
so
that should be a DEX.
It should.
The Grand Exchange.
Well,
oh my God.
I mean, do you remember DeFi Kingdoms at all?
I loved it. I loved it so much.
This is something I want to see if we can try to do in the future. Not DeFi Kingdoms, but kind of replicate that game-like experience until like.
We just hang out. We just have fun.
But yeah, so I got into Solana NFTs for a little bit. I made a little bit of money, and then I was like, okay, I'd like to see if I can make a career out of this in some way, shape, or form. So I didn't know anyone. I didn't even know about the tech. I just thought like, okay, people are making a lot of money. I made some money. Looks cool. And so I started reaching out to random Solana NFT ecosystem projects. So like a few NFT marketplaces, a few NFT projects saying like, hey, like, can I be an intern? Can I be a Discord mod? Can I just work for free? Like, I'm just curious. Like, I'll do your support tickets. I don't really care. Eventually, I got picked up by a NFT marketplace for a few months.
Which one?
Digitalize. I don't remember that one. I'm not sure if there. Yeah. So there was Digitalize. There was.
Solana Art.
Yeah.
And then there was Magic Eden, which was pretty late. And then there was Hyperspace.
And then now the OG one, or the one that everyone uses now, is the aggregator.
Tensor. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, I worked at this marketplace for for a couple months, and then eventually I made some friends. You know how these things kind of go. Got picked up by a NFT.
You should talk about that, by the way, because I think not everyone knows how it goes. Yeah.
Well, okay, yeah, sure.
Because everyone, I think, when people reach out to me, being like, "Hey, man, how do I get hired? How do I get a job?" And ask them, "What have you been doing?" And they say, "I've just been sending an email or a DM to like every project account and every founder, and that's it." Right?
Okay.
So what did you do?
Yeah, so I got hired at this first place, and I, did everything I could. I wasn't getting paid. It was just, but I began reaching out to basically every community member in the Discord, as well as all the people on the team, and just looking for additional ways to provide value outside of my current thing. For me, I looked at it as I have no expertise, so if there's something that I can do that will make their lives easier and doing it for free just makes it even better for them, then I'll do it, and I'm really happy to do it because I'm.
And you're not doing it as an exchange, right? You're
No.
saying like, hey, how can I help you?
Yeah,
It's
no.
like just genuine of have a good vibe.
Yeah, I think like in general, you want to give someone something versus taking something away. But yeah, so I just made a very concentrated effort of making as many friends and connections as I possibly could, and in a genuine way, like you said. And so yeah, I did this at the marketplace for a little bit. Eventually, and a NFT project kind of picked me up. I was the proper community manager, which is just like a Discord mod, basically. Just making sure the community is happy and doing events that kind of just make things engaging and fun.
Yeah.
As
I think it's a
community
tough
manager
gig
does.
though, because everyone says like just a mod or just a community manager, but like
Well,
you can't do it right. You can do it badly, but to do it right, you have to have like full context of the whole project, the marketplace, the ecosystem, the news, everything, and the feel of the community. You can't do it by just like phoning it in.
You're also balancing relationships with key community members, like the key stakeholders in the community. You're making sure that they're happy and that they're taken care of, and you as a community manager or as someone on the team in general, you have a user of your project, and they could be using maybe another one, maybe a competitor, maybe something that is just simply a better product, but for some reason they're with you and your community. So what can you do to make sure that they feel loved and accepted and feel supported, and maybe just bouncing ideas off of them. And for me, so yeah, I did community management at Initia for like basically a year, and so a lot of what I focused on is not huge kind of Discord and Twitter events that we're trying to reach for the stars, but I was more so focused on the people that were currently existing in the community, getting to know them really well and seeing what we can do for them to make sure that they're happy and willing to support Initia and stick around in any way.
You're saying a lot of things, like you said that I don't have expertise, but the stuff you're saying is like, I think I can't remember who it was. It's the Airbnb founder said, do things that don't scale early in a startup, right? That's exactly what you're saying. Do things that don't scale.
Yeah.
Build these tight connections. And then everything you're saying about building these relationships, not just the founders. Because if you think about like a company, founders are C-suite, right? Everyone else is part of the team. And then community are kind of like the board or kind of shareholders a little bit.
For sure.
And then I think if you want to make a deal with a big company, you can't just DM the founder unless you already have access, unless you're already a VC or already another founder, right? Or have major distribution. The thing that I think works all the way up to like the top of the corporate world is you build relationships with everyone around that key decision maker, right? And I think that works for jobs, it works for deals, it works for everything. So yeah, you're saying, I think you're kind of selling it down because the patterns that work in crypto work everywhere. Because it's so PvP to some extent, the attention span's so short. You just have to like graft and be quick. I think that's super important. I think what you're describing is kind of like what happens in private members clubs. So in the UK, there's a private members club called Soho House.
Soho House?
You must have heard of it? I don't know if it's in the States.
I have not heard
There's
of
like
it.
one in New York and I think one in LA, but
Okay.
it was initially started as a place for creatives. Kind of a funny story because it was initially like going to be a thing for finance, and then they pivoted to being just for creatives, and they pissed off their original funding sources. They couldn't do the funding round. But anyway, the point is that initially you started like a close, tight, curated niche.
Yeah.
And then now they're losing ground to like loads of other private members clubs that are having really good service, or because the service was going down because they commoditized, or really good, unique health and wellness type things. And I think that when you look at crypto and communities in crypto, you're not a manager, you're a curator.
Yeah.
Because let's be honest, right? Like most of crypto is graphics cards plus a cult, right? It's just like, oh, it's proof of work, proof of stake, whatever. Oh, it's an infra thing. We're in this phase where we're moving from tech-only Legos to who's going to actually build a house or who's going to build something well. And then the community side and the social side is curating a vibe that people believe in.
Yes.
How do you build belief? Like, how do you build belief with Initia versus, why would someone join you guys and be like, I believe in this?
The way I built belief, so we have a very tight-knit kind of OG Telegram chat with basically all the Initia diehards. And the way I built belief is what I was describing earlier, where spending a lot of time talking to them one-on-one. I think projects underestimate the power of community. I think it's not something they think about. It's the same with marketers as well. You know, it's very underappreciated, whereas the role of a community manager is to ensure that, I mean, simply it's to ensure that users are using your thing, right? And so most people, I don't know, like most projects will hire a Discord mod or hire a community manager, and there's no,
they see it as a cost, not a
not as an investment.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's a big mistake, and like they don't really think about, like, there's not something from the top that's saying like, okay, this is basically the goal, this is our vibe, this is our vision, and then you go execute. It's more so just like you get hired to do this thing, and then like we don't really care, we're not going to communicate with you much.
Get engagement.
Yeah. Get 200K Discord users.
Build community. What do you mean? What does that mean? Did you ever heard about cargo cults? So during the end of World War II, US planes are landing in all these kind of like previously uncontacted islands in the Pacific. And these were like tribes that had not seen machines, nothing, right? So you got these planes landing, they're building these like kind of runways and stuff. And obviously people would give them food and water and equipment, and they'd help them out with stuff, right? And this went on for like most of World War II.
Okay.
And then they left because World War II ended. But the tribes didn't really understand what was going on. They just saw that like, oh, the people that brought food from the sky have just gone.
Yeah.
So what ended up happening was they started to build like runways, what looked like runways with wood and rocks, and building like the sort of structures and like boxes that were there when the soldiers were coming. Because they believed that the external view of the thing would drive the food to arrive. And I think that what's happening with like all the new L2s, all the new kind of like random infra things that don't understand like the core drivers, they're like, oh, those guys were successful because they had like 200K followers and a big community. We'll just like scale rapidly. I think that's like rule number one of like culture, is that if we see on TikTok and everything, right? Like when something becomes really popular really quick, it dies really quick as well.
It's like any chart, right? It's like you go rapidly up, there's going to be some kind of reset, right? Whereas I guess if you can, slowly but surely grow, go over time. Yeah, it's, I guess, for me, it was very similar in that, like, I'm not caring about growing to like 500K followers or like all these Discord users or getting people to chat all the time. Just selective vibe curation of community members, basically. And
there's a tough KPI, right? Like how do you report it?
Like how do you measure vibes?
I think that's a good question. I think it's essentially a qualitative thing. You cannot, it's very difficult to quantify. You can do surveys, you can do this kind of stuff. Someone asked me a long time ago, and again recently, and it's always in the social sphere, about what metrics do you measure? And like how do you choose a metric? Everyone needs a number go up to some extent, right? In 2020, 2021, it was just followers, right?
Yeah.
And this goes back to RuneScape, I think. And anyone who's played RuneScape knows that if you see someone with mithril armor, they put in the work, right? They put in the work. They know the game.
Yep.
So I think the same thing happens in any tech, any company, crypto, elsewhere, is what are you cost signaling? How have you done the hard things to show that you've done the hard things?
Yeah.
So I think that's like every project should find their mithril armor and then tell people what it is.
Yeah, because other than, like you said, surveys or like talking closely with these community members, seeing like why they're interested or like what is their motivation for sticking around, it's hard to, because even like Kaido Mindshare, for example, this can be gamed as well. It's not, I don't think there's a perfect metric. And honestly, I'd be really curious to hear what other projects and their marketers and their community people do to track metrics, because numbers are fake. The only thing that's real is culture and vibes.
Yeah.
And
very difficult to fake that.
Yeah, like getting people to kind of understand what you're doing and like how you're kind of focused and what's your vision, I think is the best way to go about it. Like even there's maybe like 100, like a few 100K people in crypto max. Maybe this is even an overstatement. And so just getting a small percentage of that, but making sure that they're the right kind of people for what you're building is way more important than reaching the masses.
Definitely.
It's like with what you were describing with the Soho House or whatever, where you have a very private kind of selective club that you curate this vibe with, and whether you're focusing on like service or whether you're honed in on one very, very specific niche thing, there might be like 10 people in the world that could be interested in this. But over time, you build this really like super tight community. More people can kind of learn and understand about it, and then kind of grow from there. I think taking the whole general purpose, like I'm building this for everyone and everything, is a really poor take on just building something interesting in general.
That's it. Because you build for everyone, you build for no one, right?
Yep, that's the whole thing.
I think that you made a really good point about the way you share this, because I think airdrops killed community in the early days. Because before airdrops, you would join, you'd do a bit of research, you'd see, okay, and like obviously there's financial element involved, right? If someone's pre-TG, you think, how do I get in early? How can I get involved in this? And then you find a place that you like and enjoy hanging out, then then kind of the price doesn't matter as much.
Yeah.
It changes the vibes, as we see with D-Guards, we see with like a bunch of other stuff.
Of course.
But on the whole, I think people value connection more than money after a certain point.
Yeah, I wrote a tweet recently. I said I'm tired of the hyper financialization. I just want like to create a culture and vibes, basically, and that's how I view Initia's marketing and kind of community. Is that of course we're in crypto. Everything is all about money. Everyone wants to make money and just kind of go to the next thing and continue to do it, and et cetera, et cetera. But I don't. Like, of course, I recognize this and I understand this, but it's like you said in our messages, no one cares about tech, no one cares about infra. I just want to create a interesting place for people to come and chill. For me, coming from the community member side, and now I'm kind of on the other side of the script, it's why did I stick around in any community? Or like, why did I leave? I thought about this a lot, actually, whenever I was originally got hired at Initia to do community management. And it's like the jacket I'm wearing is from a project called Temple DAO. And that was actually my first.
I remember that. They had the crazy riddles and mazes.
That was my first paid crypto job. I started in like November or December 2021.
So much time in that thing.
Yeah.
I didn't get anywhere.
Yeah. Dude, it was the craziest thing.
That was like the Ohm days, right?
Yeah. It was basically the original Ohm fork. But yeah, the
they
reason
created a game.
Huh?
Right? They created a game.
Yeah, they did, and it was like, yeah. So they implemented some of the contracts into crypto voxels. You have to do all these puzzles and mazes. Whoever hasn't heard of Temple DAO should definitely go YouTube it. There's a lot of crazy videos. But yeah, I thought about why I resonated with that community. And it's like, okay, as soon as I join the Discord, I can't see anything and there's only a voice channel. So I'm already a bit, because no one in crypto talks to each other like on voice. Nobody, everyone's super anon. So yeah, I joined the Discord and people are singing Barbie Girl and people are saying like, yeah, the only way you can get access to the Discord is if you send a moderator a picture of your feet with a note written, and I was like, okay, like
this is pre-OnlyFans too, right?
Yeah. I was like, okay, this is my vibe for sure.
Yeah.
And so again,
weird is good.
Yeah, but like again, nothing about any kind of product or tech, or it's just a culture of people that most people would probably be turned off by.
Yeah.
But being on crypto Twitter and joining a crypto Discord, you kind of understand a little bit of what you're getting into. But yeah, this was next level, and why I ultimately resonated and spent a lot of time there is just because they created a good vibe, and it had nothing to do with financialization.
Definitely. So. I think you made a really good point where we went from tech for tech's sake, and there was speculative value from that. And I think that Pump Fund kind of killed that, which is interesting. Because if you see that graph where like Pump Fund came in, Sol TVL goes up, and then all the others go down. We initially in 2017 had, it's a new chain. I need to get in early, ICO, right? So the marginal buyers were post ICO, and then we had the NFTs, and then we had, I think Pump Fund killed the infra speculation to some extent. The bar was so much higher, and then I think what you're saying now, if I'm hearing correctly, is, and I think we're going to get a lot of developers screaming at us because like classic like community and marketing,
Yeah.
being like the tech's not important.
Yeah.
Obviously, you need technical excellence, right?
Yeah.
It needs to be a great product.
Yeah.
But I think if you look at Apple, car manufacturers, the difference between an Apple and an Android phone is technically not that different, but the experience is totally different, right? Same thing with electric cars. I think we're going to have a crazy change in car. I think you saw the Jaguar rebrand, right?
Yeah.
I'm pro Jaguar rebrand, which is really controversial.
Okay.
I think they did something really interesting, which was they realized very early that the future is electric. Mm-hmm. Even though I love old cars, I love like fucking 65 Mustangs and like really old Porsches. Like, I just love that.
Yeah.
Something different about the old leather. Anyway, but the future is electric.
Mm-hmm.
An electric Skoda, I don't know if you know Skoda. Like an electric Honda,
Okay.
in terms of like power, ride quality, battery quality versus an electric Jaguar, not that different. Like the petrol engine is like one of the most amazing inventions in human history, so complex. An electric engine is complex, but like has like 3 parts. It's just a motor spinning the wheel, and you can produce crazy torque. So how do you differentiate as an electric car manufacturer, right? You have to be super memorable, and like people have to love you because they're not a high volume manufacturer.
Yeah.
So if you think about crypto, right? When people are speculating on small collection size NFTs, take Boogles for example.
Yeah.
Crazy prices, but very small supply. And I think that if you look at tokens versus NFTs versus this, it's like you're trying to decommodify yourself and change the experience.
Yeah.
So I think that's what's happening to tech. Like the difference between one L2 and another L2 is so minimal. It's all going to consolidate into one.
Yeah.
I
It's just a
think.
different color.
Exactly.
Basically, right?
Yeah, and I like purple. I like yellow.
Yeah.
I think Solana, a big part of its success is purple's pretty cool.
It's a color that is captivating, honestly. It's the bare minimum is like a good product because of course me talking about, like the tech doesn't matter, et cetera, but the team's been building all the tech for like 2 years. So of course, right? It's the bare minimum. And then from there, again, how do you differentiate yourself? Why should someone care about you? This is whenever you begin to start building out your culture, building out your cult, like Temple DAO did.
What's your like 3 things someone getting into space should do if they're like hired as a community manager? How do they get buy-in from the top and then execute on like the ground level?
The first thing I started doing was anyone who was active on Twitter or Discord. I was spending 14 to 16 hours in the Discord every day. And anytime someone would send a message, I'm engaging. I'm, asking questions that they can, answer, and we can begin to have some conversation. I spent really a lot of time getting to learn and understand each person that was involved, whether it was on Twitter or Discord, in terms of, who are you? Like, why are you here? What interests you? Like, what's your love life? Are you in a relationship? Do you have kids?
Dude, are you just DMing everyone in your community? Are you single?
Basically, yeah. Like, I'm definitely like sliding in their DMs for sure. No, but seriously, like this is what I spend a lot of time doing.
It's like you're an elite relationship builder.
Yeah, I guess that's one way of putting
You're
it.
like the Kobe Bryant of relationships. 16 hours, man. That's crazy.
I'm just genuinely very curious in people and how, like what makes them tick. What do they find interesting? What do they not like? Why do they not like this thing? Why are you in my Discord out of all these other like 100 Discords? Maybe you're also in other Discords as well. Also, why are you on Discord in general? Like, why are you not on Telegram or Twitter or, I don't know, Reddit, I guess. Finding out all these kind of questions I'm just curious about. And I would spend a lot of time doing my job, and then I'm constantly looking for other things to do outside of my job. For example, whenever I was originally hired, I wasn't my job was not content or anything on Twitter, but I had some ideas around like Twitter segments that we could do, like, because in the beginning, Initia, it had a lot of words that, like a lot of new words that we just kind of like invented, like interwoven.
You guys own that.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
That's your word.
So I was thinking, okay, I'm someone who is maybe just joining, like just seeing Initia's Twitter for the first time. I'm seeing like Initia, I'm seeing Minutia, I'm seeing interwoven. Like what is going on here? Like what is this madness? And so my idea was basically like, let's create a segment like each week of like we pick a Initia word and then we like explain it in like a cute way. We like attach our Jenny the mascot. Yeah, exactly.
Great branding.
So yeah, just doing things that I think will make the project better, make things easier to understand. Basically just driving value in any way like I could, as I spoke about before.
That's a sign of a star player though. Like I've been on both sides of the trying to get hired and the hiring side, and you can always tell someone's going to be a star like the first week, because there's some people that try and do everything and they do everything badly, which is always a danger when you try and do extra stuff, because you have to control what's on your desk and do it extremely well.
Yes. Yeah, I feel the exact same way. If you're not like do what you're assigned to do and do it 11 out of 10 and then do everything else, because like if you're, and honestly this is something I struggle with as well, you know, like at a certain point I was doing community management and then I was also like thinking about content and I was also like doing some ecosystem stuff, and so I sat down with myself and I was like, okay, I'm doing this half-assed now. Let's recenter. Let's just do my job and then go back to where it was like in the beginning of I do my job well and then other things. But yeah, it's very easy to get kind of lost in the sauce a bit, especially because previously I worked at like dApps basically. Now it's a Layer 1 / infra. So it's a bit like there's many moving parts and there's many partners and there's many like integrations and these kind of things. So you want to, being on the business side, like the business go-to-market team, is, you know, in these startup environments you have to wear many hats and you have to do many things. But
good looking hats, to be fair.
Thank you. Shout out to our designers. But it's just important to really hyper focus on what you're supposed to do, and then you can kind of branch out. Otherwise, your boss will get mad at you.
Yeah, because
shout out to On.
If you're not getting the outcomes they want, like, who cares if you're doing like all this other stuff that's like the ideas?
Yeah, because
right?
it doesn't matter.
It doesn't. It doesn't. Definitely not. Yeah, it's. I think something interesting with this kind of stuff is Jeff Bezos says that if the anecdotes and the data don't agree, trust the anecdote.
I like that.
And I think that applies so much in crypto, because there's all kinds of bullshit data. And then someone's like, oh, well, our numbers in the Discord went down. Like, no, I purged all the inactive people. The vibes are high. Yeah. Right?
What numbers in crypto would you consider to be real or useful? Because like Twitter followers, Discord users, TVL users, these things can all be gamed, right? Like, what's real?
That's a great question, man. Dude, I'm interviewing you. What the hell? Like, that's a great question. I think we talked earlier about Mithril Armor and RuneScape, right? And metrics, there's 3 elements. 1, token. 2, product. And 3, experience. Okay. For product, you need to measure metrics that are directly product related. And that's kind of on the tech side. You measure your retention, your daily active users, you measure how fast the thing is, how good the thing is. So you give them the best rates, if it's financial, if it's an experience, the most choice, whatever. And token is about cost signaling. What are the difficult things you've done? How much do people believe in you? And this is like anything in Web 2. Like someone's IPOing, they look at the cap table, they look at what the traction they've got, projected revenue, all this kind of stuff. In crypto, you don't have that as much because we have not a lot of revenue. Yeah. So who knows?
If you have revenue, it's bearish.
Exactly, because it's not a pure play.
Yeah.
Because it caps your upside. So, but then it's the same thing in Web 2, I think, which is why the most inflated and speculative markets are always the ones that have big dreams. So I think a big dream is very important for crypto, because if you say what's happening now, people tell you like, oh, well, you're just like them. Yeah. Whereas if you say this is our vision for the world, if you look at what Athena did and they said, this is DeFi, this is centralized exchanges, and this is the entirety of TradFi, and this is how we're going to do it. Yeah. Crazy dream. Yeah. But I like it. You
Yeah,
know?
me too.
Gets me fired up. I think that's what everyone needs to do. And I think metrics are just a tool to signal to people how well you're doing. So you just got to pick the one that you do best, and it's got to make sense. And I think that when you look at gaming, I think there's 3 competitive advantages in crypto that if you don't have it, you're just not going to perform as well as everyone else in the current environment, right? Video games and terminally online, I put them in the same category.
Yeah.
An element of ADHD, enough to be functional, but you got to be a little crazy. And I think it's controversial, but weaponized autism, just being able to just go deep into something and be obsessed with it. I think those 3 things plus good communication is like the killer combo in crypto.
Yeah, I 100% agree, especially on the weaponized autism bit, because one thing, one of the points I have in my pinned tweet is that if you're not willing to sacrifice everything in terms of, quitting your job or, literally being online like 16 hours a day minimum, someone's going to do it. Someone's going to outwork you.
Yeah.
Someone's going to be more curious, more driven, and you're going to be left in the dust. And like maybe this is not so great advice, or maybe it's not like something great to say, but at least that was my belief, and that was kind of how I've got from community member to working at a few projects.
I think it's inspirational, man, because I think this space is so unique. I got my first job in crypto with no CV, no work experience, no LinkedIn. I used to be a doctor. I had nothing connected to me on my LinkedIn and that stuff. It was just the quality of your work. And that's the most American thing in the world. Just like anyone can come in, turn up, work fucking hard, and then show it and just turn up, and then you can do well. That's it. I think that's the dream.
That's what I love about crypto. Like, it doesn't matter who you are, what last name you have, what your parents do for a living, what university
what school you went to.
Yeah, it doesn't. It's just like if you're curious and you have a drive, anyone can do anything. Like, surely if I can do it, I tell everyone, like, you can too.
I agree with that. I think that it is. I mean, I think it's very controversial now in defining the American dream, but like as a person from the UK, there is that optimism, that view of like you can do whatever you put your mind to and you can make it. And I think crypto is like the ultimate American dream because it brings because the amount of capital that's coming in, it's not just a niche industry anymore, like it was in 2016.
Yeah, absolutely not.
You have the best people in finance, in regulatory side. You've got the best people in creative side, technology, AI now. Like obviously AI is kind of a meme. We're not quite Anthropic yet or OpenAI, but there's getting there in terms of the rails are happening. But dude, I've thoroughly enjoyed this conversation, man.
Yeah, man, me too.
This is I could feel like I could go on for like another couple of hours.
I would love to.
Yeah, but I think Matt may not appreciate. He probably has things to do today.
Yes, unfortunately.
And thank you to Matt for doing this.
Thank you.
But yeah, dude, it's been a pleasure. I have a little surprise for you.
Oh, okay.
I feel outmerched by you, dude. Mista turned up with a literal Christmas sack of merch. But this is one of 10 Nuffle hats. Ooh. And it's going to be very rare because there's going to be some big changes coming in the next couple of weeks.
We like to hear that. Thank you, man.
It's your vibe.
Hell yeah. It also matches my hair color as well.
Dude, sick. It does. It is. Oh, dude, that looks actually really good. Vibey.
Vibey?
Cool, man.
Thank you, dude.
Pleasure, dude.
Appreciate
Thanks
it, man.
This is fun.
Yeah.